Hi everybody and welcome back to our YouTube channel. We hope you guys had a great weekend. This video is about what to do when your temporary resident visa gets refused. So in the previous video, I mentioned a few reasons as to why a temporary resident visa would be refused. Now, if a temporary resident visa has been refused in Canada, there's not really a formal process of an appeal. But if your visa has been refused and you think that this process is unfair, you hire a lawyer, especially race law, and we start a judicial review in federal court. What is a judicial review? A judicial review is when you are reviewing the decision of an officer, especially the officer that made a decision on your visa application. This is done in federal court, and it may take up to 2 to 3 months, depending on how quickly you provide your lawyer with all of the required documentation to be submitted to the federal court. A judicial review is important because the judge, most likely, if you have submitted all of the required documentation and you still think that the officer gave an unfair decision and there's no other documentation that you can submit, a judicial review would most likely be positive. The judge will be convinced that the officer made a mistake in your application, will send the application back to be reconsidered, and most likely you will get a positive answer and be able to enter Canada on a temporary resident visa. The thing that you need to know that is important for a judicial review is that there is a time limit for when to apply for a judicial review. So as soon as the decision has been made and you do not want to reapply again for a temporary resident visa, but instead you want the judge to consider your matter to send it back to the visa officer, then what happens is you need to contact a lawyer right away, and you need to act right away with the submission of the documentation. Deadlines and timelines are quite important when it comes to a judicial review. But what a lot of people do is they opt out of the judicial review and they try to reapply again, hoping that a new visa officer will consider their application. Sometimes they're lucky, sometimes they apply twice or 3 times, or they hire a lawyer and they're successful on the second or the third time. So that concludes all of the information that you need to know about temporary resident visas. Now, the temporary resident visas most likely apply to people from non-visa exempt countries. For people that want to come to Canada and they are from visa exempt countries, if you remember from my first video, you would be eligible for an ETA. You must apply for an ETA, which is an electronic travel authorization. The electronic travel authorization application is a questionnaire that demands that you answer each question correctly and sincerely. What that means is that one small mistake or insincere answer on the application could lead to you being banned from Canada for 5 years on grounds of misrepresentation and hence becoming inadmissible in Canada. Just like a temporary resident visa, an ETA can also be refused. However, it is a little bit different, and hence why we advise that clients or potential clients contact us right away if they have a refusal letter in regards to their ETA. Now, sometimes a refusal of the ETA would lead to being banned from Canada or inadmissible from Canada for a period of 5 years. Other times, you just need to complete an application, such as an authorization to return, or perhaps a criminal rehabilitation. Hence why it's important to contact us so that we can guide you in the right path. That concludes all of the information that you need about temporary resident visas and electronic travel authorizations. If you guys need more information, please go onto our website, www.bracelaw.ca, or you can call or text us today and we would be more than happy to assist you. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of the week, and I'll see you next time. Bye.